guys, this is the advisor and welcome back to my channel. Now today I'm going to talk about the reasons, the reasons why Jamaica is at serious risk of becoming a dictatorship. Now when I speak of dictatorship, one thing I need to make clear is that a dictatorship is a country that is ruled by one party and is run just under one person with a government that you cannot change. That is what a dictatorship is. And when I speak of dictatorship, I'm not talking about communism, because a dictatorship doesn't necessarily have to be communist. For example, when Fulgencio Batista was ruling Cuba, he was a total capitalist and he was a dictator. And look at even more recent times, in the 70s, come down to the late 80s, Agustino Pinochet of Chile. He was capitalist and yet he was a dictator. In fact, I'll go further for people who think it cannot happen. China is a capitalist dictatorship. I mean, it is run by a one party that is called the Communist Party of China, but there's absolutely nothing communist about the Communist Party of China, or nothing communist about China, broadly speaking. And this has been so from Deng Xiaoping days back in the 80s. But that's a different story. I'm just going to, now, let me tell you what I'm trying to say. A dictatorship is a country that is run by one party. And right now, Jamaica is being run by one party. And there's very little chance that Jamaica will ever be run by another party apart from the current one that is currently in power. Now, you may ask, why am I saying that? Well, for there to be democracy, a country has to be ruled by, a government have to have a chance of being ousted from power by the ballot. And if a government has no chance of being ousted from power by the ballot, then that is a dictatorship. Regardless of how you look at it, once a government can stay in power indefinitely without any let-up, and one leader can remain in power indefinitely, then that, or until he decides to pass on power to someone else, then that is a dictatorship. No. You're going to say, so isn't Jamaica currently a democracy right now? Well, currently, the way I see it, Jamaica is a democracy right now in name only, because it's only one party that can get elected right now. And if things stay the way they are, that one party, if conditions remain as they are, that one party will remain in power at least for the next 10, 15, 20 years. So what has caused Jamaica to be in the situation that it is? Well, it is because of the ego of one man, or should I say two men. The ego and the narcissistic nature of two men, namely Peter Bunting and Mark Golding. Now, I won't go into the reasons why Mark Golding, by default, had to take over the PNP, and become opposition leader, because who are connected to Jamaica will know, and that would be a separate video. But for this one, Mark Golding is in power because of his own personal self-aggrandizement and his narcissistic nature, in combination with that of Peter Bunting. Now, I have no knowledge of the inner workings of the PNP, none whatsoever, but I can say this. It is clear to me that Mark Golding can never, ever win, cannot lead the PNP to an election in this country to take over government from the JLP. And if he cannot win an election, then automatically the JLP will remain in power. Now, That is a dictatorship. This man doesn't seem to realize that how much a clock has strike. Let me put it that way in the Jamaican term. He does not know what time is being struck on the clock, for those foreigners who might not understand what I'm trying to say. Because if he knew what his status was and his appeal to the electorate, he would not have taken that job, and he would not be sitting in that seat and tenaciously holding on despite the polls, despite not lighting the fire in the guts of the electorate in any way, shape, or form. Now, I must say personally, I have nothing against Mark Golding, nothing whatsoever. I've never met the man, and I've only seen him, and I think he's a very bright man, and I think he has the ability, the intellectual capacity to run Jamaica and run Jamaica properly. I personally think so. But having said that, having the ability to run this country and run this country effectively serves no purpose if you cannot win an election. And Mark Golding cannot win an election in this country. And therefore, he is holding on to the seat and placing Jamaica in a position where the ruling party will always continue to rule. Now, why do I say this? Now, well, let's look at the man. Now, before I wanted to take a look at this video. This is the man who wants to lead this country. Look at him. Now, have you ever seen a man looking so, what should I say, lame? The man has no charm. The man has no charisma. The man has no magnetism. The man totally lacks je ne sais quoi. Look at him. He's not very animated, and his movement seems staged and choreographed. It doesn't seem natural. It doesn't flow. The man just lacks elegance. Even in the best Savile Row suit you put on this man, him just look like hang pan nail. So the man is so lacking in sophistication that nobody is ever going to vote for this man or vote for any party that is led by this man. It is just not there. Look at how he moves. And this is his nature. The only person I can really think... all right, hold on. Before I even go into that, I want to take a look at this other video. This is a video of him again dancing. And what you will notice is that this is a TikTok video. Now, this TikTok video has been on the internet since the 3rd of August 2022. And you know, TikTok is shown all across the globe. Now, August 3rd to now, today while I'm recording this, it's the 19th of January 1923. So in other words, from the 3rd of August to now is 5.5 months. Now, this video of this man dancing, how many hits do you think it has gotten on TikTok in 5.5 months? Well, let me tell you how many views, how many times it has been viewed. 101 times. 101 views on TikTok in 5.5 months. Now, I have people who put up them guinea pig and them rabbit, and it hit 101 views in an hour or in half an hour. I see people put up pictures of their cats fast asleep, and it get more views, 101 views in minutes. And this man in 5.5 months. And if you doubt me, go on TikTok and type in Mark Golding Jamaica dancing. And one of them will say Prime Minister Mark Golding Jamaica dancing. And go on TikTok and look. If you see more than 101 views, then you was the 102nd person to view that on TikTok. Now, can you think of this person saying he can galvanize a population, the electorate of a country to come out and vote when he cannot even um um get his own party together? 2/3 of his party is not with him and is not even going to come out to the polls. And hold on, did I tell you how many likes? The man got 4 likes. 4 likes out of a population. What's the world's population? The world's population was going 5 billion, and this man got 4 likes in 5.5 months. So not even the people within the People's National Party wants to see this man, even the people around him. And this is very telling. Now, I won't go into Andrew's TikTok stuff because I don't want to blow any trumpet for him, but I can tell you that it's knocked out of the ballpark. Now, how many comments you think Mark Golding got? How many comments? 0 comments. 0, a flat zilch. Now, who cares about Mark Golding? No, he is leading the party into the abyss, and he doesn't know it. The few little minions around him don't know it either, are locked in their own delusion. And I am at risk of being led by a dictator, all because Mark Golding, backed by Peter Bunting, has decided that they are going to keep leadership of the People's National Party despite all the signs that they are losing or that they have absolutely no traction whatsoever. So you may say, so how can it be a dictatorship when we have 2 parties ruling? Here is why it's a dictatorship. In a sense, in the practical sense, we might have 2 parties, but if one party cannot win, can never ever win under this leader, and this leader has dug his heels in and decided to stay there, what it means is it's a dictatorship of sorts, because the one party who is in power will remain there and they will do anything they want. They'll mess up as much as they can because they know you have no choice. There's no alternative, because the PNP is not a government in waiting, and they're far from being a government in waiting. So the one party who can rule will rule, and it will be it is a dictatorship. The only way, you see, if the other party is a government in waiting and is a formidable force, the opposition is a formidable force, then yes, both parties will be neck and neck, and any party who is in power, for example, Andrew Holness at this time, he will have to pull up his socks. He'll have to do everything that's right because it is in his interest to stay in power. But there is no way on earth that Andrew Holness will have to have any checks and balances. He'll have free latitude across the board to do what he wants because he knows he can get away with it. It's just human nature. You will go as far as you have to go, and you'll do as much as you have to do and no more. So that's the reason. So how can we prevent this? I can say right now, and this is plain truth, the only way I'm going to feel comfortable in Jamaica at this time is if the PNP gets a good leader. No, I'm not saying the PNP has to take power, because I am not saying if the PNP comes into power tomorrow, you're just swapping black dog for monkey. Because no better herring, no better barrel. Both of them are incompetent and a set of thieves, especially where crime is concerned. The only thing that I give the edge to the JLP right now is to thank the JLP for Nigel Clark. Because as far as I'm concerned, he's far and above the rest, the ultimate finance minister as far as I'm concerned. And I say that without apology. I know very little about finance, but based on under COVID, I would not want to have any other person, human being, whether he was in the PNP or the JLP, but Nigel Clark in any party, he would have gotten the props from me. So as I was saying, so what's the alternative right now for the PNP? The alternative is for somebody competent to take over. And that person, as far as I'm concerned, would be Lisa Hanna. Lisa Hanna, if you check her profiles on the internet worldwide, she is a superstar. And she can run this country. And she could run it very well. Now, people will say that Lisa Hanna hasn't got the intellectual capacity of Mark Golding. And I would say I'm not quite sure about the intellectual capacity. But what I know for sure is that she is an intelligent person. And Mark Golding being an intellectual doesn't mean he has the leadership quality or the competency to run a country. It just means he has some things on paper. And that doesn't say much, what he has on paper. But Lisa Hanna, I think she can, if Lisa Hanna takes this country tomorrow morning, the PNP will just become one and become a formidable force without her even lifting a finger. The next day, after she takes power, CNN, NBC, BBC, and all the world's network will be in Jamaica to interview her. Because she is somebody. She has got charm, she has charisma, she has magnetism, she has je ne sais quoi. While this Peter Griffin look-alike, because Peter Griffin is the only person I can really compare Mark Golding to. There is no other human being to compare him to. And I have to compare him to a cartoon character. And look at the way, as a matter of fact, the cartoon character would get more likes on YouTube and on Twitter and on TikTok. More than Mark Golding, and he expect to win. And anybody who doubt me, we have a local government election coming up, maybe within weeks. But definitely this year, well, it's Andrew's call, but we know. And you are going to see, I cannot see the JLP conceding one single seat in the entire island in the next in the next upcoming local government election. I cannot see it. As a matter of fact, the PNP may lose some of its current councillors. It is that dismal for them. And it is dismal for the country. It's not good for democracy. It's not good for Jamaica. But when you're a narcissist and you do not care about anything but your own self-aggrandizement, as these two men who have their heel in the neck of the PNP, well, believe me, we are in for a rude, we are in for some very hard times in the future. And let me make it quite clear though, I've never met Lisa Hanna in my life. I've never been in the same room with Lisa Hanna. I don't if I've ever been in the same within a mile or two of her in my life. I know nobody who knows Lisa Hanna. So I'm not saying this because I have any personal contact with her. But my assessment is based purely on science. And the branch of science I'm dealing with is occupational psychology. Now, occupational psychology, I have a postgraduate diploma in occupational psychology. Now, what occupational psychology does is to use certain metrics, certain tests, to apply certain tests to individuals, candidates who are going after a certain job or have put themselves up to do certain tasks. And then what you do is to judge that person based on these psychometrics testings. Now, these tests can tell you, based on the person's character, their personality, their outlook, and their general characteristics, and their reaction, and their views on things, how suitable they would be to handle certain tasks. Now, based on how this guy, Mark Golding, moves, it is clear that even though he might be able to run Jamaica, and run Jamaica effectively, he is incapable of winning. And what's the point of having all the capabilities of running a country if you cannot win? It don't make no sense. So people are going to say, oh, he's very capable, he's more capable than this and that. What's the point of being capable of winning, of running the country, if you'll never ever get to run the country because you're unelectable? Totally, dismally unelectable. It doesn't make sense. Now, as for Lisa Hanna's education, let me tell you, a leader, a political leader, only has to know to do one thing: how to delegate. All Lisa has to do was to delegate tasks to competent leaders. She doesn't have to take on one single portfolio. All she has to do is to hire and fire. And once Lisa Hanna can hire and fire, then she's quite competent for the job. So that's all she has to do. So don't feel that Lisa Hanna, maybe not having Mark Golding's education, which I'm not even quite sure if she doesn't have it, his level. Not in the same field, but on the same standard. I don't know that. So I am saying, based on all this, it is best that this country get a leader soon, because if we don't get a leader soon, we'll be in a dictatorship, and I hate to live under a dictatorship. And let me make it short. Let me say this clear. I'm not saying that the PNP has to ever win in the next 20 years, I'm not saying they ever need to win. All I'm saying is that they need to be a formidable force. They need to be electable. Because if the JLP stays in power, if this current administration stays in power for another 5, 6, or 7 terms, it is okay with me as long as the PNP is capable of taking over and is within maybe 1 or 2 seats, always 1 or 2 seats behind them, yapping at their tails. It will keep them on their toes. But what I'm seeing right now is constant landslides for the current administration, and that is never good. That is dictatorship. So, guys, let me know what you think. Thank you for listening. Like, share, and leave a comment below. And please subscribe to the channel so I can send